There are thousands of different health and fitness channels on YouTube. They've all got different presenters, different personalities, different topics they cover, different styles, the way they do things. So there's a lot to choose from. Obviously, Your Fitness Quest, this channel, one of the most successful with 33 subscribers, but I'd like to share some of my other favorite ones with you today. So these channels I'm going to share with you today are the ones I've probably spent the most time watching over the last 10 years. First off on the list, obviously, is Jeff Cavaliere of Atlantix. Jeff is kind of known as the guy that usually has his shirt off in most of his videos. Always has a title on a video that's what's going to kill your gains if you're doing it. But he puts out a lot of good content. I like him though because he's a trainer and a physical therapist. He knows his anatomy, his physiology. He understands exercise science, things like that. So not a lot of hype with that. Now I know none of these people I'm going to share with you. A lot of them have critics, and a lot of times they'll butt heads together against each other. But still, I have to put him at the top of my list as someone I spend the most time watching.
By positioning myself in a split stance and allowing my arm to go back into extension behind my body, I place a better stretch on the front delt fibers so that I get that more powerful contraction when I come out of that position. So it's just a different way to apply the same stretches that you normally would with a dumbbell and get the added benefits of the stretch that are often, as I said, overlooked every time we train.
Next, we have Doucette. I wasn't familiar with him until about a year ago. I started seeing his videos. And my first exposure to one of his videos, I thought it was a joke. It sounded like Gilbert Gottfried ranting about something, a jacked up version of Gilbert Gottfried. But the more I watched and listened, the more I liked a lot of the things he says. He seems to be very authentic about his past and what gets results and things like that. Spends a lot of time kind of calling out people who claim to be natty that he claims are not, stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting, but a lot of good information there, and I learned to like his channel over time.
Coach Greg, and today I'm going over the top 10 never again. 10 exercises that you should just never do again. It's 2021. We don't need people being so dumb. It's not our fault back in the day. We didn't know better. I did many of these exercises growing up.
Okay, next is Jeff Nippert. He is a bodybuilder, but also a researcher. He spends about half the time in his videos showing the studies and the data and the things that helped him arrive at his conclusions. So he does a lot of work, book work especially, also when he puts together a video. But he's got a lot of good information there. I also like his calm and level-headed personality. He doesn't do anything extreme to call for your attention, but he's backed up his information with a lot of good data.
Anyone who's committed to doing their best to improve their body composition does deserve some credit. So if you found any of these things working for you, then that's totally fine. One systematic review published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, looking at over 200 independent studies on organic versus conventional foods, found no evidence that organic food is more nutritious. In fact, out of those 200 plus studies, only one nutrient, phosphorus, was superior in organic foods, and even that effect went away when the researchers removed a single study from their analysis.
All right, Nick's Strength and Power, his focus is on bodybuilding, strongman, powerlifting, that sort of thing. A lot of the histories and stories behind the events. So I'm impressed. This guy's not that old, but he has great stories back from the 70s and 80s of Mr. Olympia contests and behind the scenes type of things and stuff. So he's got a lot of good information.
And of course, all of us are familiar with the 1975 Mr. Olympia because that is the year that Pumping Iron was filmed, and it followed Arnold and Lou's rivalry. And in that year's Mr. Olympia, Lou placed third and Arnold placed first. So it wasn't even really a competition between Lou and Arnold at that point. So to be fair, I want to compare Arnold at his biggest and Lou at his biggest.
Shredded Sports Science is another one I've seen a lot of. James is the guy that runs this channel, and he again likes to back up his findings with science, but he uses his channel mostly to call out all the fitness influencers, all the people that are peddling bogus products, making bad claims about, being natty, all kinds of stuff like that. So I like it because he uses it to expose people that are giving the industry a bad name, and he uses a lot of humor in it. So his is kind of a fun way to kick back and relax and see some of the crazy stuff happening in the fitness industry.
Plyometric push-ups done over bricks, as you do, where her upper body is collapsing with these lateral plyo push-ups. Take away the bricks, stop showing off, and develop your ability to perform this movement more competently, or not, and used in fitness circles for practical exercises such as tie flips, for example. Why are people videoing themselves doing push-ups with a tire on their back? There are garages around the country looking for missing stock because fitness influencers are knocking out push-ups with them. Why not use a weight vest if you would like to perform your push-ups with an external load? Because that would be safer and more practical. But all of you can jog on because KV's just raised you.
One of the newer guys on the scene is Josh Brett. He has some really high production value work that he puts out on his videos, and his niche is basically, again, it's expose type stuff, showing the dark side of Hollywood transformations, or again, calling out people in social media that are promoting unhealthy practices and things like that. So I really like his. It's a little bit more serious and dark as you watch it, more like a documentary or expose, but still some really good stuff there.
If there's one thing all these celebrities have in common, that is the brutal nature of their training routine. While I'm not going to call anyone out directly, many of these actors do display many of these red flags. Even though a lot of them are probably natural, it's highly unlikely that every single actor has outright refused some assistance, especially given the pressure they're under. Whether intentionally or not, Hollywood seems to be glorifying a lifestyle of secretive PEDs, unsustainable diets, and overtraining.
There's also a lot that I've missed. There's like More Plates, More Dates. There's Buff Dudes. There's just so many channels I've watched over the years, and I apologize. These are all guy channels. Nothing against women. I'm totally open to anything, but these are just the ones I've happened to have watched the most and am most familiar with. One thing I've noticed over time is that a lot of these fitness channels will call out some of the other ones, criticize them for some of the things they've done or said. And so sometimes you'll get that sort of drama, that kind of soap opera in this fitness realm. And I guess that's to be expected when people are trying to entertain and get more views.
Hey, why'd you get so crazy on me out there? That's the name of the game.
I'll be the first to admit I am only looking at a small section of what's available out there. So if you're aware of some good fitness channels you've enjoyed that I didn't mention, feel free to comment below. Tell me what those are. I'd love to see what you got to say.